At the fourth, it is a tribute to Troon's postage stamp hole.
Austin's talked a lot about the importance of controlling the distance on her irons this week, and she manages it beautifully on the postage stamp.
Yes, just on the very edge of it. And this for Birdie to increase her lead to 2.
Coming into the day with only a 1-shot lead, you know she wanted to get out to a hot start and put some pressure on Jennifer.
Jennifer bogeyed that 4th hole, so the lead was 2 at that point. And then 3rd shot, par 5, 5th.
I mean, this is just adding fuel to the fire right here. Beautiful 2 shots to get there. Easy birdie to extend the lead.
At that point, the lead was 4. And then at the 6th, a tribute to Augusta National's par 3 16th. She grew up in Seneca, South Carolina. It's a couple of hours from Augusta National. We've seen that shot a lot, haven't we, through the years at 16?
And here she's just showing off.
I can hear Vern Lundquist in my ears calling that one. She would roll that in for a 3rd straight birdie. I mean, how many in a row can she make here? At least 4. Former LSU Tiger has her purple on today. She tries to win for a 3rd time on the LPGA Tour. And what was a 1-shot lead when this round began is now a 6-shot cushion. And look at the 28-year-old American Jenny Coleman having the best week of her LPGA Tour career. She's played parts of 3 seasons now, and if it's a drive-on championship, Danielle Kang is going to be up there toward the top. She won the first one back at Inverness in August, then finished 2nd to Allie Ewing at the drive-on at Reynolds Lake Oconee in Georgia. And here she is in the top 5 this week. This is the 9th. Morgan and I are joined by Tom Abbott, Jerry Foltz, and Karen Stupples. And Tom, take it away.
And the leader on the tee at the par 4.
And swinging very, very nicely today. Driver here. Annoying tree up the right. It's headed at it, but it looks like it has the height.
I was going to say, she looked at that like she thought it was going to be pretty darn good. She didn't seem too worried.
Both Jerry and Karen out with this final group. Karen calling Cupcho.
This also a driver, slightly lower ball flight, starting to the left, fading towards the right. Oh, just skirts through that tree.
Yeah, it sort of overhangs the fairway, doesn't it? Something to think about, but no problem at all.
Let's take a look at a breakdown of our final group. Austin Ernst, 33rd in the world, looking for a 3rd career LPGA Tour title. Jennifer Kupcho hasn't won yet, but really just, you know, almost an extension of her first year. Turned pro May of 2019. Then last year was shortened, of course. And then Alban Valenzuela is a rookie in this extended rookie year, 370th in the Rolex rankings. That's going to go way up. All right, the par 5 12th, a tribute to Augusta National's 13th. And it's the Aon Risk reward hole. The tee is moved up again, and Lydia Ko came so close at this venue a couple of times in 2015 and 16 when an LPGA Tour event was here.
Yeah, she definitely feels comfortable on this golf course, and what a beautiful shot there. I wasn't sure how many players would be going for that green today with the stiff wind and cold wind into their face, but that was beautifully done there.
There are 8 tribute holes here at Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. The postage stamp we showed you earlier, Muirfield's 9th, is the 5th hole here. We showed you Augusta National's 16th earlier. And we'll see on the back 9, 5 of them. Augusta National's 12th and 13th are the 11th and 12th here. A couple from the old course at St. Andrews to the 9th.
Danielle Kang playing in the penultimate group alongside Jenny Coleman and Patty Tavatanakit. Kang just missing out there, but she's going to go out in 1 under, a couple of birdies and a bogey. While we have a moment, let's go up and join Grant and Morgan.
And at that drive-on championship at Inverness, won by Danielle Kang, Austin Ernst was having a solid stretch of golf, contending occasionally. She was around 75th in the Rolex rankings, but then she came from behind Morgan to win the Walmart Northwest Arkansas Championship, moved inside the top 30 in the world rankings, and now she looks like she's not going to look back. a chance to win for the third time, and it's only been 11 events since she won in Arkansas.
Yeah, and I mean, what a start she's gotten off to today. You know, she knows what she's got to do. I think Arkansas gave her win there, gave her so much confidence that, you know what, I can do this. I belong out here. I belong in the winner's circle. And she's proving that today. She is playing like the champion that she is out on the golf course this morning.
And you see how well she did at the tournaments here at Golden Ocala back in 2015 and 16. You said yesterday as we were signing off, when Jennifer Cupcho made an eagle at the 18th hole to cut Austin's lead from 3 down to 1, not be the worst thing for Austin. Why?
Yeah, you know, when you're playing with the lead, playing with a large lead, sleeping with the large lead, I should say, you might, you know, not sleep so well. There's a lot of pressure. You're expected to win. And I think that closing eagle from Jennifer with creating only a one-shot lead for Austin is like, you know what, I got to come out and play some real golf tomorrow. I just got to do my thing and make it more of a match play instead of worrying about protecting a lead. I think, you know, players with the big lead maybe try to play a little bit more tentative, but she's coming out with her original game plan and sticking to it, and it's working.
Looking like Secretariat now, stretching out the lead to 6 as she plays the 9th.
Yeah. Come down. 10 feet left. It's almost just right at the left side of the 10.
So brother Drew on the bag. Long time caddy.
153 to the hole, only 143 to get to the green in line with the flagstick. On the right side with the breeze from the right and the ball above her feet. Both things work against getting this one close, but smooth 7-iron here. It's left with some heat on it.
I did get a little bit of stop there. May have just pitched into an upslope, but the greens have been firm at times this week. New greens constructed last summer. We did the bunkers as well. Take a look at the Rolex World Rankings for Austin Ernst. And you remember she got the victory 2014. Then took her a long time to win for the second time, which she gained last summer. So moved to 25th in the world. Right around the top 30 at the moment, looking to break inside the top 30 with a win here. How high can she go?
Okay.
So you watch Alban Valenzuela.
Just 1 yard closer at 152. If you want to go online with this flag, there's got about 10 yards of green to use over that bunker, so there's plenty of room if you want to take this flag on. The wind is from the right.
C'est le bon club, non? Oui, c'est le club.
C'est ton club?
Oui.
Allez, confiante. Laisse bien la tête en bas. Moi, je m'occupe du reste.
Speaking in French. They speak 3 languages.
Pretty impressive. Got her degree in Stanford in political science. Just an impressive personal round, Tom. This one really high, drawing slightly left of the hole.
And just going to come up short over the bunker, but not on the putting green. So the wind is a factor out there today. Strongest breeze of the week?
I don't know, there was times yesterday where it was
Yeah. Let's take a little bit more. Nothing wrong with being a little positive.
basically, Tom, what you're seeing here is that the wind has switched into from being off the right.
On the camera tower, yeah. Just a little off it. That's good.
This is from 147.
The forecast called for it to be north-northeast throughout the afternoon, gusting up to 18 miles an hour, steady between 6 and 12.
Well, and now it's settled down again, Tom, and it's more from the right again. Just really switching in between these pine trees, and this one out to the right.
Yeah,
That's one of the challenges of this golf course, are the giant trees, and it'll be fun to watch them try and judge the wind come this back nine.
Austin Ernst with a comfortable lead right now, 6 shots ahead here in Ocala. to Volvic, thanks to Golden Ocala and all those involved in this week. Here's Jennifer Cupcho from the bunker.
Pretty straightforward bunker shot here, Tom, and even though that was straightforward, she still made it look very easy.
She did. Great shot there, so that'll save a par.
You have to be wondering what's going through her head right now. She came in with a chance to win, and now it's 6 back.
Lydia Ko trying to make a Sunday charge at the leaderboard. This for eagle at the 12th. Ooh. Tied for second last week at Lake Nona, her home club. 3 behind Nelly Korda. Jessica Korda won the first event of 2021, playing with Lydia. Jessica moves to 3 under. To the 9th again.
Kupcho did tap in, so she's made 4. And Austin Ernst has a putt for a birdie. It's playing as a really tough hole today, this 9th, second hardest on the golf course. It's become the hardest hole for the week here at Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club.
Well, Tom, when you tuck the whole location behind a bunker on the upwind side of the green, and a firm green at that, it's always going to be tough. But the one thing Austin has done so well this week is control her speed on these lengthy putts. Wasn't the case last week, but certainly is the case this week. And now she's simply just in a position where she has to just play smart golf. Not necessarily get defensive, but just play smart. And that's something she's done better than anybody all week. Not to mention, she has putted better than any of the contenders heading into the final round. This one turning a great deal to the right.
Yeah, Jerry, I don't know if Austin has tentative in her golf game there. She's an aggressive player by nature. It makes her a lot of fun to watch.
Another aggressive putt. And she's talked about that all week, staying aggressive, continuing that trend today with the way that she's played. She has not held back. She can't afford to get too aggressive with some of those hole locations on the back 9, but it's fun to watch, and if it's working, why change it? Why change the strategy? She's playing great. And now Alban Valenzuela for par.
She made a good pass at her chip, Tom, just let it run past the hole, and I think even though this one is a bit downhill, I think I'd almost rather see a chip go a little bit past the hole. That way the player gets a good idea on a line coming back. Doesn't have to work quite so hard on the read.
Played so well yesterday in that round of 66 to vault up the leaderboard. Struggled a little bit in the early going today. A couple of bogeys, 4 and 5.
And she's had some chances too, just in these last few holes as well, to try and get some more back. Good save.
Talking with her last week, she was saying when the putter starts to work, things really go well for her, which is the case for a lot of players, but struggled with the putter in the early going today. Let's go to 10.
What a week it has been for 28-year-old Southern California native Jenny Coleman. Just her 26th event, Morgan, and here she is alone in 3rd.
Yeah, and I loved watching her interview yesterday after the round. She and her sister both, they looked a little bit uncomfortable, but it was so refreshing to hear the excitement in their voice, especially Jenny's position here on the leaderboard on Sunday.
Austin Ernst has turned a 1-shot lead through 54 into a 6-shot advantage. Today's coverage is brought to you by Volvic Vivid, world's first matte finish golf ball offered in 8 different colors. And by Volunteers of America. Couple of NCAA champions, 1 and 2 on the leaderboard here. Final round of the LPGA Drive-On Championship. 10 years ago, Austin Ernst won it all for LSU. She's making the turn up 6.
Wow, Morgan, she's not even watching it fly with her tee shots.
She's got so much confidence. You can see it in the way she walks. She hit that one so hard it actually went into the bunker. That must have just been adrenaline. I don't know what else, because, I mean, she knows that bunker was there and thought it was perfectly down the middle.
She talked about the up and down for bogey here yesterday as being critical to her round.
I think that's one of the things, is just that doesn't even faze her. You know, she knows that she is swinging so well that she can birdie the next hole. No big deal.
Here's the 2018 NCAA champ from Wake Forest, Jennifer Kupcho.
Well, she's playing so close to winning it in 2017 as well.
Yes.
And that's plenty safe. Just down the right side.
Had the lead late, stumbled, and it made that comeback the next year all the more impressive. This is Alban Valenzuela.
And I've had a chance to follow Alban, you know, doing some NCAA championships that we cover, and I was always just really impressed with her game. And watching her play a little bit today and catching the end of her round yesterday, I'm really impressed with how far she's actually hitting the balls. She's got a lot more distance than I remember her when she was in college. Although this is a little low worm burner here. Well done, underneath the wind, nicely.
She has been through the ringer the last few months. She had a nerve-related injury, as that one continues to run out. Then she had an emergency appendectomy, Valenzuela did, and then got COVID as the year was beginning. Take a look at the NCAA champions going back to Austin Ernst. She was the first freshman to win it since Jenny Rosales in 1998, and she was the first from LSU to win the individual title, won by 3. And then Jennifer Cupcho in 2018. 2019, her good pal Maria Fassi won it on her home course at Arkansas, but that was right after Cupcho had outdueled Fassi at the Augusta National Women's Amateur. All right, they're watching today back at Rolling Hills Country Club in Southern California, where Jenny and Kristen Coleman and their folks Colin and Barbara are members. That'll be for par for Jenny to stay alone in third to 13.
Where that hole is located today, over the Tribute Road hole bunker. This is a tribute to the 17th on the old course at St Andrews. And how aggressive is Lydia going to get?
There's not a whole lot of places to hit the ball in that hole. I mean, it's into the wind, so it's going to be a little bit easier to hold the green, but that's going to be a challenging hole coming down the stretch here.
Inji Chun's been playing well of late. This is for a birdie at the 11th. This would get Inji into solo 4th. And she's had a solo 4th finish. That was at the Diamond Resorts Tournament of Champions to start the year. And then she was 8th last week at Lake Nona. So it's a good season for Inji Chun as she starts to bounce back. Let's go to 10.
And Danielle Kang for par. These drive-on championships were created by the LPGA to add a couple of events to a shortened season. Danielle won the first of them at Inverness, where the Solheim Cup will be this September, and Allie Ewing outdueled Danielle at the drive-on Reynolds Lake Oconee in Georgia. Jen Young Ko missed the cut for the first time in an LPGA Tour event since the AIG Women's Open in 2018. Nelly Korda up to 3rd after the victory last week. Danielle there at 5th. And then there's Jenny Coleman, number 440 in the world rankings. And don't let that fool you. That's largely a product of the fact that she's only played in 25 LPGA Tour events.
I just love the way she played yesterday, especially after making double bogey on 12. She had 4 birdies early, never looked too excited, had a double bogey, didn't seem to bother her. She just kept playing her game, and been very impressed for a very inexperienced player and how she's performed on this stage.
She said she wasn't even too upset with the 3rd shot. It spun off the green at 12 and led to the double. Here's the 10th and our final group. Cupcho first, it would appear, perhaps.
Sure is.
Ernst is in the bunker, up 6.
to it?
Yeah, around 130.
Yeah.
Yep.
And top on? This one?
Yes.
So should I hit the edge? I feel like this is going to be the same as the last hole.
Yeah.
Depending on the wind.
I think you hit a little bit more. It's kind of like a little into, you're a little past it, it's fine.
All right, so she's going to play.
That flag's coming back at you. We'll finish the right side of it.
You want 3/4?
Yep.
So the actual's 136. She's going to play roughly for the front number, 130. Does play about 3 yards downhill. This is a 9-iron, but I mean, with this wind swirling like it is, and given what happened on the last hole, she's really got to just commit to one shot and not kind of give in to second guessing this wind. This one's starting right, drawing a bit towards the hole.
Ooh.
Pretty nice there.
Beautifully done there. I agree with you, Karen. Commitment today from these players is going to be so important in this wind, especially as it swirls and tries to confuse them. They have to stick to what they've chosen while they're over the ball.
Now Ernst.
123 from the fairway bunker, and that's a decent enough lie because of the valley that the ball created behind the ball rolling in, but it's a downhill lie that makes it tough to catch first. So much easier on an uphill lie to catch ball first. That was just a hair heavy.
And Lydia spent a lot of time trying to figure out where to land this ball. It's a little uphill, Morgan, to the hole.
That's the risk you run with the face as open as she was playing it. If you decelerate at all, you're going to just not be able to hit it as far as you'd like.
Valenzuela's approach at 10.
And this from 118. This is leaving it out a little bit to the right. Oof.
To the 11th.
It's a tough one with that hole over on the right today. Danielle Kang.
She talked about having a nothing to lose attitude yesterday. Moved herself well up the leaderboard, and I'm sure she's got a very similar attitude today. She's not worried about finishing 10th. She wants to get as close to first as she can.
Well, she's got a chance to get it to 7 under par, tie Inji Chun for 4th here in Ocala.
There is a chance here for a swing with Austin Ernst up 6. She's in front of the green in 2. Jennifer Cupcho will have a putt for birdie in a moment. First, Ernst.
Up the hill from off the green doesn't look like a lot of break putter. Very, very smart play here, even though she's really, really improved her chipping in recent years. But this, a bad putt from here still to be inside 3 feet.
Yeah, Jerry, it's definitely the smartest play. I mean, right now, especially in her position, 6-shot leads. She's just thinking about cozying this one down there.
You would have liked that just a little more cozy.
Before Cupcho, let's go to 13.
It's for 3 in a row for Jessica Korda.
She loves the beginning of LPGA seasons, that's for sure. Loves to play at the beginning of the year, gets off to hot starts, and
Karen Stupples knows a thing or two about getting off to a hot start back in 2004. How about Morgan and Karen, just the mindset for Cupcho here? Morgan, you played great and then waited and watched as the leaders stumbled down the stretch of the A&A when you won there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I came from behind for my first win. You know, Jennifer was, I'm sure, thinking about that this morning. You know, I want to come out and get my first win. She's probably a little bit nervous, but here she is on the 10th hole, 6 back, and hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, she's only 1 over par. you know, and all of a sudden that opportunity seems to have slipped through her fingers. But I think it's really important that she just stays patient and still sticks to her game plan here and not try to force anything coming down the stretch.
I completely agree with that, Morgan. I learned that lesson quite hard when I was playing against Annika. Same thing. Annika got off to a fast start and I tried to chase, and it actually really hurt me. And then she kind of fell away a bit at the end, and I could have caught up and then it was too late. So, no, that was a great read, because that was not an easy putt.
It's always easier said than done, right, Karen? And I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're thinking about the conditions. Yes, Austin is playing great, has been so solid all day, but that wind is tough out there.
11.
Jenny Coleman, what a great performance this has been here in Ocala for Coleman. And it continues to be. She'd never had a top 25 finish prior to this week. She'd only made 3 cuts in 25 starts. Lydia Ko, this for bogey.
So unusual to see Lydia struggle around the green. She's usually such a great wedge player. That's very uncharacteristic. But I think just judged the lie incorrectly there in the shot selection on her first chip.
Danielle Kang for birdie. Put it to 7 under.
You know, we talked about how she's got a nothing to lose attitude today. I'd say in the back of her mind, she's thinking about those Olympics. That's really important to her. And any high finish, the higher she can finish, the more she can solidify herself towards the top of the rankings to qualify for that team.
She talked about that earlier in the week, and she had a dream of representing the US in martial arts when she was very young, and now the dream can become a reality in golf after the decision to move golf back into the Olympics.
It's a dream start today for Austin Ernst. Birdies at 4, 5, 6, and 7, and a 1-shot lead grew to as many as 6. This to stay now in front by 5.
And this is every bit of 3 feet and downhill on greens that have been pretty difficult for every player to figure out. She hasn't shown any hint of struggling with these, but she is giving it 100% full attention here. Cannot afford to take out any break. Not that there's much in it. And firm it, because it's downhill all the way to the front of the green. So this is going to be an important putt. And if you make it, you make all that look irrelevant, because it looks easy from 3 feet.
Well, you know, in watching her for the last few days, she really hasn't had to work very hard. She hasn't had too many putts like that, even for par.
Well, Jennifer Cupcho does have a history at Augusta National of a big back 9, second 9 comeback. And Tom, she's getting to a couple of tribute holes to Augusta National.
Yeah, this is the most famous tribute hole on the course, and I think it's the one that resembles the original the best, the 12th at Augusta National.
Here's the course setup. It's brought to you by the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America, Golden Ocala.
I think with the greens the way they are this week, as firm as they've been, it's been a challenge for all the players, and it's made the great iron players rise to the top of the leaderboard. And we've seen that in Austin. We've even seen that in Jennifer and other players on the leaderboard. Course is shown beautifully, and the cream has risen to the top.
5 holes where water is in play, including 11, 12, and 15.
So the players walk back up the hill, much like they do at Augusta National, to the tee here. And a good following of members here. It's not an event where fans are allowed, unlike Bay Hill, not too far away, but here only members and some guests are allowed to watch. And if you remember, and Karen and Jerry will remember, when they played the Coates Golf Championship here in 2015-2016, they had huge crowds. It was a fantastic atmosphere. In fact, there were traffic jams right down the street to get in. It was a really fantastic couple of years here in Ocala. Now Cupcho.
It was, Tom. It was a lot of fun being out here on the course and really sort of soaking in that atmosphere, even just from a commentator's perspective. This hole at 144, and it plays about 4 downhill from this really, as you were saying, elevated tee. This is an A-time.
Little breeze off the right and slightly down. So
it is.
That's what the forecast called for, but it has been swirling a little bit on this hole this week.
Well, and, you know, as Jerry said on one of those previous holes, with the flag on that right side, wind from the right, it makes this difficult. You don't want to get this ball turning over with that wind because you'll go through the green quickly.
Thinks it's too long. It's not the end of the world back there. Anywhere right of that flag missing the green, it's going to go into the creek. Well, Jerry, there are a few dangerous shots on this back 9 for a player with a 5-shot lead, and this would be one of them.
Yeah, most of them you don't have to take on. This one you have no choice. Tiny little target, swirling green and danger everywhere. Right now it feels like there's a little lull on the breeze. Of course, yesterday she carried the bunker by inches and knocked it up to less than a foot away. On the putting surface would be an excellent tee shot here. It always is. Yep. Oh, that was pull, and it looks pretty hot.
Just going to stay out of that back bunker and not be too bad.
Yeah, she got away with that one, I think. Now it won't be too challenging of a par, where it definitely could have ricocheted further up the back of the green.
At the par 5 12th, In-Ji Chun. Back to back. And In-Ji, the 2-time major champ, moves to 8 under. There's a story about Ben Hogan and the 12th hole at Augusta National. He said he wouldn't pull the trigger until he felt the breeze hit his left cheek. Don't know if that's apocryphal, but that's the story Ben Hogan used to say.
Alban. Oh, just kick on. Alban has played Augusta National before. Austin Ernst playing some of the best golf of her life. Started the day with a 1-shot lead. She has extended it to 5 here Sunday at the LPGA Drive-On.
This is the 14th, and this is Jessica Korda, the tribute to the first hole at the old course at St. Andrews. Uh-oh.
You can see the way that the fairway is mowed there, down green and into the green. It looked like she got her wedge stuck a little bit on the into the green line. Hopefully that doesn't cause any long-term pain. Sometimes it can just be jarring. You can see almost the club almost sticks in and then pops right back out of the ground.
Let's hope that's all it was. 11.
What a great look that is for Austin Ernst's birdie putt.
A little bit downhill, 5 feet of fringe to go through. Fortunate the ball didn't end up in the bunker. This was so much easier to get it up and down. A little bobble.
You know, Austin and her father, they've been working on cutting down on mistakes and realizing that she doesn't have to be perfect to play a good round of golf. And there's an example right there. A little bit of a mishit off the tee, but, you know, she's probably going to walk away with par. And she doesn't have to be perfect. It's really good mental attitude to have out on the course.
Yeah, her father often watches the coverage and keeps a close eye on her game. And made a tweak to her putting after watching her at the AIG Women's Open at Royal Troon. She went on and won the next week in Arkansas, so that's a pretty good technique. Now, Cupcho for birdie.
It's going to be a little downhill to start with through this, and it's actually sitting on quite a slick piece of grass, but then it gets some longer grass that it has to roll through on the upslope before it hits the green, before rolling towards the hole. Still difficult to judge the speed. This is quite good.
Yeah, you've got to start to be aggressive if you're going to cut down on that lead.
She knows it too. You can see it in her face that that was close to getting another one back there.
You begin to run out of time. Still time, but may need some help from Austin Ernst. It doesn't look like she's going to get it with the way that Austin's playing. Now, Alban Valenzuela for birdie.
Much simpler, really, just because it's uphill, doesn't have any fringe to work to go through, and but again, the difficulty will be giving this enough pace to get it to the hole, just because of that little bit of uphill it has to do.
She has her father on the bag this week, Karen, and
yeah.
She actually caddied for her brother here when he qualified for the US Juniors. It was the qualifier, and he shot 68 and got through in a playoff. And then Alexis said to her, well, you're going to have to beat my score of 68 this week, which she did yesterday. So good little rivalry, yeah.
Yeah, siblings always like to have those little battles, that little competition. This gives them a little edge.
I think they played for a coffee. I think Alexi's got to buy her a coffee now.
He's a college student, so you don't want to put him under too much financial stress.
He's at SMU, and they have a home there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where Cheyenne Knight makes her home. And looks right at home at the old course. Yes, finally I made one.
Sometimes it's just one of those days, and all you can do is smile.
Bogey, a double, a triple, but a birdie at the 14th.
Now Austin Ernst for par.
Should be a little more than a formality. And that tweak you were referencing, Tom, is I talked to her dad, Mark, this morning at great length, and when she just gets into the proper setup position, all of which fell into place when she went to cross-handed, the stroke is mindless. There's no technique involved. It's all about the setup and keeping her eyes just a little inside the line, and she trains that every day.
I think that's so important too in every shot you hit on the golf course, how important setup is. You know, yes, everybody has a little bit of a different swing, but it starts with the fundamentals of your setup that can fix everything sometimes.
Let's see if Jessica can shake off the pain that she incurred with the second shot. This for birdie.
We've seen players overread this green all week. It's just so flat, and they want it to break. I want it to break for them, but they've all missed them a little bit too high.
Well, Kupcho wasn't 5 down to Maria Fassi when she got to the hole for which this is the tribute, the par 5 13th at Augusta National, but she did make eagle, tied Fassi, went on to win it going away. 5 back here.
Well, and she knows that she made that eagle on the 18th yesterday too, and how quickly you can make up ground with an eagle. This is a low bullet drawn round the corner. That is money.
This hole is moved up again today. Wind is hurting a touch for that second shot, or third. Now Ernst.
Austin hit a little bit of a floater out to the right yesterday, forced to lay up, although I think she would have anyway because she was a little out of range. I have no expectation of her trying to go for this green in 2 today.
Yeah, I feel like that's in her position. She's looking not to play tentative, but to play smart.
Yeah, that's all she needs to do. That's much better line than yesterday. Still a 3-shot hole from there. And that is exactly where she aimed it.
Well, Cupcho, trailing by 5, has hit a great tee shot. Maybe a chance to go for this par 5 12 in 2. Danielle Kang at the par 5 12th. Second shot went into the water, so this is her 4th.
She talked a lot that she's been working on her fairway woods, and it has been hitting them particularly well, but this is such a challenging hole with that creek there and the Aon Risk Reward Challenge.
Yes.
And she went for it.
You know, Danielle was 5 back with 6 to play the week after she won the Drive On Championship. That was at the Marathon LPGA Classic. And Cupcho is 5 down with 7 to play. But you go back to 2019 April, it was the Saturday before the Masters, the inaugural Augusta National Women's Amateur, and Jennifer Kupcho was 2 behind Maria Fassi at this point. Hit an absolute beauty with a 3 hybrid. Set up a eagle opportunity, which she would make, and then at the 15th, that would lead to a birdie and making a second 9 charge like some of the greats in Masters history at the 16th. Tied at this point. Fassi would make bogey at 16. Kupcho would make birdie. Morgan, you had a stellar amateur career. What must this have felt like for Jennifer Kupcho?
It had to feel amazing. I never had the opportunity to play in this event, but I mean, the excitement and the buzz created around it was fantastic, and to see them the next day on morning shows and things like that is great attention for the women of our sport.
Didn't get to play last year, of course, because of COVID, but it will be back this year.
I think it's interesting. She said that she actually is more nervous playing these holes this week than she was at Augusta National.
Jenny Coleman for birdie up ahead. She is 1 shot clear of NG Chun for 3rd place. Back just right of the fairway. Ernst laying up.
Yeah, side hill, uphill lie into the wind, laying up with just a 7-iron. Good looking swing. Spoke to her dad last night, Morgan, and he said the bad shots he saw, he thought she was just a little quick in transition, and you can see that almost noticeable pause at the top right now.
Danielle Kang for a scrambling, watery par here at the 12th.
Beautiful up and down there to save par, you know, give it a go, but walked away with par, and the crowd goes wild.
As Tom said, a few of the members out here. Cupcho waiting. Take a look at the original par 5 13th at Augusta National, the 12th here at Golden Ocala. All these years later, still just a 500-yard or so par 5 at the Masters, which you'd think the men would just gobble up, but it invariably bedevils even the best.
Such a dramatic hole, and we've seen it yesterday. We saw some players struggle with it, and today Danielle Kang going for it, hitting in the water. We'll sure have a little bit of excitement here, hopefully, in the next few minutes.
The whole location is very similar to where it was when Cupcho made eagle, which we just saw, the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Good solid par for Coleman. This is where she made double yesterday, a bit of a bad bounce with her 3rd shot spinning off the green to the left. Rallied and has been unflappable. Jenny Coleman, breakout week. I don't know if this is the tournament, Karen, but it's a big moment.
Yeah, I think it's going to be shorter than that even.
It is, but the good news is that she can actually draw on her experience that she had at Augusta. I mean, slightly different. I mean, this one obviously is quite into the wind, quite heavy. She does have 194 to the flag and a shot of about 185 to 87 ought to land this on the perfect spot on the green. Like Augusta, the ball is above her feet. She did make a good assessment of the lie too. Oh, this is drifting. Oh, towards the hole. Is it a bit right? It's close. Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
There's something about that shot that fits her eye, that's for sure.
Incredible. You just really couldn't hardly make it up. Rallied from behind to win the Augusta National Women's Amateur, and here at a tribute hole.
And yesterday from a similar lie, she pulled the same club pretty far left into the pine straw, but today manages to not release the club as much. Perfectly done.
She putted for eagle from the other side of the hole at the Augusta National Women's Amateur. She'll have a chance for a 3 in a moment. 15.
Just over the back of the par 3. Lydia, the delicate one. She's pretty good when it comes to delicate shots around the green, though.
There she is, showing off that wedge game.
Yeah, a bit of mud on that ball. That may have kept it out.
Well, here is the young American Jennifer Chang. She played in that Augusta National Women's Amateur as well. Third shot at 14. What do you think? A chance at her career best finish.
Je tape pas plein du coup.
Non, c'est
T'aimes bien le grippé court?
Oui, oui, c'est un 86. Hein.
Ok. Là, je me 95 là-bas. Dans le fil.
Oui.
Alberto Valenzuela played at UCLA with Duffy Waldorf and Brant Jobe back in the mid-1980s. Father and caddy for Alban.
He definitely knows what he's doing out on this golf course. The ball is significantly above her feet, but she's playing it a bit back in her stance to compensate for that.
She's been working a lot with her dad on being more creative on those types of shots and being able to flight the ball and move the ball in different ways. And I think that's really helping her, would really help her today in the wind, especially on a short wedge shot like that.
The women's team at UCLA in those years, by the way, included our own Kay Cockrell. All right, here's Ernst's third.
89 yards, as Karen mentioned, straight into the wind, just aiming the 6-8 feet left of the hole. Little 3/4 gap wedge.
Uh-oh.
Oh, she's going to get away with that, but that's really the first miscue. And maybe, like you said, Jerry, a little quick in the transition there.
It is a 5-shot lead, but Cupcho has a putt for eagle, and Ernst has missed the green in regulation. Austin Ernst has pitched in for birdie a couple of times this week. She's got a 4th shot here at the par 5 12.
Pitching in's not on her mind here. Just getting it up there close, and that was a really smart shot. Didn't go for the open face lob, just let the terrain take care of the needed loft.
That will be for par. Cupcho is going to have a putt for eagle in a moment. First.
Quarter for birdie at 15. The Singapore event in 2018, she dislocated her wrist in the 3rd round, popped it back in and played on to the 12.
Valenzuela for birdie.
This one's uphill, moving to the right.
I know Alban's one of those rookies who's very grateful for a reset button for 2021 with everything that she went through last fall and over the winter, and is getting on. I think she said she's just grateful to be back on the golf course after having to take so much time off in October and November last year, and it's kind of changed her mindset and her attitude towards playing the game.
Karen, this is a bit surreal.
Isn't it? I mean, this is a really, obviously a fabulous opportunity after, you think back to the 10th hole as well, just to try and keep sneaking up on Austin and keep applying that pressure. But this putt looks, to my eye, one that you stand over thinking, yeah, I can do this. It's uphill. It's going to move a bit to the left, but I think anybody who plays golf as a right-handed player kind of likes the uphill right to lefters.
Oh, definitely. You know as well, the uphill right to left, it's kind of the bread and butter, just outside right maybe.
I think so. It's not a huge amount, but there's just enough there to get you thinking. But really, you can see her following that line with her eyes.
Oh, it comes all the way around.
Wow,
The
how did
top
that
arc
not go
of the
in?
Cup. Incredible. She does pick up at least a stroke, and you can see it in her face.
You'd have to think she wanted to make that just so that, you know, just like at the Anwa, like the same thing. I just want to make eagle again to prove that I love this hole.
Ernst, her lead is now 4, and this for par.
This is a rather large putt.
Feels like it.
Yeah, just to keep from losing one of the lead. She had to get it up and down here yesterday after laying up to save par as well. Missed the green with her wedge, but that was really inexplicable on the third shot out of Austin.
That's, I mean, really one of the only poor shots we've seen her hit all week, and especially from that distance after laying up, playing conservatively. That's not where you want to make the mistake.
She's been very solid though on these putts.
The lead is 3. A 2-shot swing at the 13th. Well, the Augusta National Tribute 13th, the par 5 12th here. And inches away from a 3-shot swing. Cupcho's eagle putt just crept over the top of the cup.
This looked like a good putt. Looked like she played it just outside the hole and expected it to break. Looked like a good stroke to me, but that's where you just got to settle yourself. Like, hey, I made a good stroke. Don't stress just because it didn't go in, and I've still got a 3-shot lead. Let's keep the game plan rolling.
Valenzuela has a couple of feet for par. She's tied for 5th at the moment.
I don't see too much going on with this one. She too's been very, very solid. Sort of from inside of 5 feet. Yep.
Alban's such a solid player, and after everything that she's been through, I'd expect to see a lot from her this year. We saw a lot from her in her amateur career, and I think that will continue.
Things are tightening at the top as we go to 13.
Jenny Coleman a long way back here to a tough hole location.
Jenny has a twin sister, Kristen, who's out watching her today. They're very hard to tell apart. My sister said that when she first met them, that the only way to tell them apart was their shoes, which shoes they would wear.
Well, Rory McIlroy teams up with Peacock to bring you the all-new Golf Pass channel. Watch premier instruction and entertainment from the golf membership program. Sign up at peacocktv.com and start watching now. So what was a 6-shot lead just about, say, an hour ago, maybe less, is now down to 3. Jenny Coleman hanging in there, Morgan.
Oh, she's played great this week. Very solid, very impressive. It's amazing, really, what's transpired in the last hour. You have to say things escalated quickly to the 6-shot lead, and then now back to a ball game.
Lexi Thompson and Yu Lu with rounds of 69. Yulimi No with a 68 today. At the 16th, Jessica Korda.
We haven't seen too many players get it very close on this hole this week. I think it's a challenge with the downhill side hill lie and the wind behind them hitting wedge shots. Tough to judge the distance.
Here's a third for Jenny Coleman at 13. So she's going to have that to remain 9 under. It's 13th. A tribute to the 17th at St Andrews. Today it's tricky. Much like the hole which it pays tribute to. On the road hole at St Andrews, there's a hotel, isn't there, down the right side? If you're using the back tee, you've got to hit right over the corner of it.
He hit it over the Owen Hotel.
Cupcho.
And this one playing back into the wind today, Tom, with that back left hole location, is definitely more of a challenge. This is a nice, low, boring drive out to the right a little bit.
Karen, what have you seen out there between Jennifer and Austin? Any conversation? Any change in demeanor?
No, none at all, really. They're both playing their games. And Jennifer's been really sticking to her plan.
Valenzuela.
I think Alban can do with that little low worm burner again like she hit on 10. She did have a joke with me about it afterwards, saying how nice and thin was that one. No, this one's got more height to it and well struck. Nicely down the middle.
She has a great sense of humor, a great personality, and obviously a great golf swing. But I really enjoy spending time with Alben for sure.
27 bogeys or worse on this hole today compared to just 2 birdies. Austin Ernst maybe feeling a little more pressure, the lead down to 3.
Well, you wouldn't be human if you didn't, but no change to the body language whatsoever. That air of confidence she carries about her now that you just can't teach. Speaking to her father earlier, he just said it's so nice to see somebody transcend to believing in themselves the way she does and expects to be in this position. This was the side of her worst drive yesterday and just absolutely piped that one.
I love that quick recoil after she hit there. Like, yep, I'm here. I'm still in control.
What she said, she didn't have her best stuff yesterday. Still got it round in 69. She's been playing very well so far. A little hiccup on the last hole, though. Back with Jenny Coleman for a par at the 13th. Oh, it just moved the other way.
That looked like a tentative stroke there. Barely got to the hole. And I've heard a lot of players talk this week about the importance of actually being a little bit firmer with their putts in order to get them to go in instead of maybe just veer off a little bit. Break off at the end.
Leah Ko was short of the green in 2 here at 16. And this is a really tight hole location. And a head shaker.
She looks a little out of sorts there. She looks a little frustrated.
Registration for the 2022 Drive, Chip, and Putt Championship is now open. Register your child today. He or she could be the next national champion. Join in on the fun. Go to drivechipandputt.com to get started. The Augusta National Women's Amateur and the Drive, Chip, and Putt have become fun lead-ins to the Masters. And you see that whole location at the 16th. I mean, when you're out in the fairway, looks like the flag is barely even on the green.
Yeah, and we've seen some players, I feel like most players have come up short on this hole. They've been expecting it to bounce more than it has, and I think that's because the green slopes so significantly away from you, which is an unusual design, but a great hole with a wedge in your hand.
She's had a lot of that this week, hasn't she? Putts that she thought were right in the middle.
Been close. She's played well. She got off to a little bit of a rough start today, but doubling 4 and bogeying 6, but made 3 birdies coming back in.
She's got a chance to join Nelly playing for the U.S. in the Olympics in Japan come early August. You have to have all 4 players in the top 15 to get your max of 4. Austin Ernst and Jennifer Cupcho have a chance to move ahead of Jessica perhaps this week. Don't know if Austin can jump all the way into the top 15, but you don't have to this week. You just have to have that done by the time the KPMG Women's PGA Championship concludes this summer.
Finish a little right of it, yeah. Yep.
It's an intimidating look with that hole tucked behind the road hole bunker from what it looks like back in the fairway. A little more room as we can see, but not a lot.
No, and she's got 173. She's got a 5-iron, but I would suggest that the play, Tom, really is you've got to take it past the hole. Take that front bunker out of play. Take the front right of the green. at the play, just take it in there deep. And this one's going right.
Going to stay on the green.
I don't think that's the end of the world over there. It's a challenging hole as it is, but she's got a decent angle and a lot of green to work with.
Now Alban.
She's got 167 from the fairway, flat to lie here. But like I was saying, if you go a little bit past the flag and even down over the back of the green, you've still got room to use to get up and down. It's not much of a big deal. It's not quite as severe as St Andrews is back there. This is a low shot into the wind, a little bit left of the flag.
Oh, helped over the bunker.
That was nearly a disaster.
Right up against the face, yeah.
Plugging up under the face of that bunker, carried it by inches, and now we'll have a relatively easy up and down.
Now, what can Austin do?
Well, looks like plenty of club. 154 yards a hole, 144 to clear the bunker in line with the flag stick today. The breeze is really kicking up straight in. This is 6-iron.
Like Karen said there, Jerry, I'd expect this to be past the hole.
That's a little right of it, but oh goodness, thought that was going to carry well past it.
Careful.
That's going to be a brutal pitch.
Is it going to stay short or go in?
I don't think it's going in the sand. No, it's, oh goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to think that was just not a solid iron shot, because she should have had plenty of club to get it at least pin high.
Sounded just a hair thin, but it's hard to tell with Austin because she picks everything so cleanly.
Well, you go back to last August, and Austin Ernst trailing Anna Nordquist coming into the final round of that 3-day event. That birdie at the 12th would put her in the mix, and then at 18 for birdie. And Ernst finished it off. 143 starts between her victory in Portland in 2014 and that win at the Walmart Northwest Arkansas Championship. It's been just 11 starts since then for Ernst, and she's trying to do it again. But what was a 6-shot lead is down to 3.
Yeah, her dad definitely feels that her golf game's really matured in the last 6 months, that the win at Northwest Arkansas gave her a lot of confidence, and she's just really been working on her course management with her brother Drew, former professional golfer himself. They have a great rapport on the golf course. They can be brutally honest, as she said, with each other, and she's, for the most part, picked this course apart pretty well this week with her game plan and course management.
That's not very appetizing, is it, with that look there, going over the bunker for Austin Ernst? I don't think she's going to be first to go, though, is she? Is it going to be Cupcho first?
It'll be Cupcho first, yeah.
How about that?
I'd say the only thing that Austin has going for her on that shot right there is that it's into the wind.
It's immeasurably easier because of that, Morgan. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, she has to lay the face open. She doesn't really have a choice but to hit a high flop shot almost, but the wind will help her stop the ball quickly on the downslope.
This is really important, though, Karen, for Cupcho to get the ball up and down, or, you know, maybe have a chance to knock it in, but can't afford to drop a shot when Austin Ernst could potentially make a bogey and trying to claw that gap back.
No, I totally agree with that, Tom. And you know, it wasn't her best effort with the approach, but it's left herself in a spot where, you know, chipping the ball close is definitely in her radar. I think the only scary thing about this chip is that the flag looks like it's just hanging off that edge of the left side of the green, and you don't really want to go too far past. So I think getting the ball to the hole will be the biggest issue here. It's going to have a little bit of movement to the right as well, so I think she looks like she's just picked a spot about halfway between her and the hole. The lie is great, sitting up nicely. This shouldn't be a problem.
done.
Yeah, very well judged there. And Austin knows now that she's got about a 5-footer there for par, and Austin wants to get up and down here to not lose any more strokes to Jennifer.
Didn't open the face much at all. Just, actually dug a little more than she was hoping for right there on the downhill slope.
Yeah, definitely. That was not the shot that I would have expected her to hit from there. That was more like a basic chip, I guess I would say, than a flop shot.
That was because of the wind and the uphill lie. Had it landed on the green, that would be really close, but it didn't.
Well, how close did it come to catching the top of the bunker?
A little too close for my comfort. I would have thrown it a little bit higher, but then you also run the risk of not catching solid contact.
She also didn't waste a lot of time in playing that, did she?
This is the 14th, and Jenny Coleman.
Jenny and her sister started a garden over COVID, and they struggled. As a fellow plant parent, I can relate. They struggled to keep the plants alive while they were traveling. But their mom has sent them a picture of their plants that are thriving while they're gone right now.
Here's the 21-year-old American, Jennifer Chang. And there's that tucked hole location at the 16th, which Chang finds. She's got a chance at her career best finish.
That's the best shot we've seen all week into 16.
She's tied for 13th. Back to the drama with the final group.
And who's going to be next to go here?
It'll be Austin, by a fair bit, actually. This is at least 10 feet away, a little bit downhill, but back into the wind. And I see just a tiny little bit of break to the left, but it's minimal.
One thing that struck me about reading Austin's transcripts and listening to her interviews this week is that she seems to have reached a great level of maturity, both in her life and her game, and the way she speaks about golf and the way that she handles herself on the golf course, and happy away from the course as well, getting married later this year. It all plays a part, doesn't it? And it all plays into the fact that she is still leading by 3 here, even though she's slipped closer to Cupcho. This is a very important putt. And it just moved like Jenny Coleman's ball moved at the end, didn't it?
Yeah, neither of them read that properly there. And we've seen that a lot this week. Players just a little bit confused on reading the greens, especially when it comes to those 5-6 footers.
It looked perfect about there, and suddenly it just takes a move to the right. And so Austin is going to drop a shot, assuming this one goes in, which it does. So 2 bogeys in a row, back to 15 under par, and Cupcho will have a putt to get within 2, or stay within 2 of the lead. So this is very much game on. This one goes in. 2 shots is not a lot with 5 holes to play.
No, it's not, but you know, we've seen, as you guys have, how difficult it is around these holes, and players just giving it all of their attention. But I think from this angle, this one is more straightforward. This one should be pretty much up the straight line here.
This is what we talked about earlier, Karen, her staying patient, not getting too upset, too worried about being 6 behind, and sticking to her game plan.
Well, and that's the one thing that everybody has to come to realize, is that you can only do your best. You can only be the golfer that you're meant to be on that any day. You can't be anything more, no matter how hard you try. And it always sort of frustrates me just a little bit to hear people, when people talk about trying to win. Everybody's trying to win, but sometimes you just have to let it happen.
The harder you try, the worse it usually gets.
Austin breathes a sigh of relief. Her lead remains 3.
Golf Channel and the LPGA Tour welcome you back To the LPGA Drive On Championship presented by Volvic. The third event of 2021. Grant Boone, Morgan Pressel, Tom Abbott, Jerry Foltz, Karen Stupples. This was a one-shot lead for Austin Ernst when the final round began, but then she went crazy on the front. Birdies at 4 and 5, and then this tee shot at 6.
She came out of the gates really confident. Some beautiful iron approach shots like you see there at the 6th hole. 4 birdies in a row. She'll make this one here at the 7th, and putting stroke looks good. She looks very in control, very cool, calm, and collected. Typical Austin.
And when that went in at the 7th, her lead was 6. She took that to the 10th, where Cupcho made birdie, and then Cupcho has just crept a little closer over the last 45 minutes or so. Cupcho on the tee at the 14th.
This one back into the wind, and when there's flags down there on the left side of this green, I kind of would prefer a drive down the right side. It just seems like you have more green to use if you're able to do that. And just as Cupcho has done.
It's unusual you have such a straight hole. Most holes that we've all ever played have some sort of a little bit of a dog leg, and sometimes it's visually challenging to pick a target when it's almost like you're hitting on a range and it's wide open.
A big wide range, yes. This is a huge fairway. But as Karen mentioned, dead into the breeze, and it's pretty significant right now. She did drive it 19 yards past Cupcho on the last hole into the wind. And that's another beauty.
I was surprised she hit it that far past Jennifer on the last hole. Jennifer's got some length.
I think she just hits a little lower spin drive.
Jenny Coleman alone in 3rd place. This for birdie up ahead at this 14th. Should be no problem for par.
Just continues her solid play, not making any mistakes.
Jennifer Chang played Junior Solheim Cup back in 2017 in Des Moines. Went to Q school in the middle of her college season at USC. Got her card. Now in this extended rookie year. His tribute to the first at the Old Course.
No rush, but if you guys want to go
Ocala.
for it.
The lead is 3 for
All right.
Austin Ernst. Trying to hold off an impressive young American, Jennifer Cupcho, looking for her first victory.
That's not going to fly all the way there.
What's that?
Pitching wedge.
I agree.
But with this wind.
Right. It's up there. And you got plenty past it. Is it maxed up there?
I mean, now it's like dying, but
Depends how low you pitching wedge.
I feel like it's going to go fast.
I like that. So we just keep it off to the right.
Jennifer working with a new caddy for the last 2 weeks. He said that he's very impressed with her game. They've been trying to learn her game, as you could hear that him say there. Like, if you can keep this pitching wedge down, it's the perfect club.
Signal was for a 9-iron. She's got more room behind it. There is a backstop. That was well played.
Take a little off there, perhaps, with the approach into the wind.
I've always liked to, into the wind, take a little bit more club than you need and not try to swing too hard. The harder you try to swing, the more spin you put on the ball, and usually the higher it flies into the wind, which is the absolute opposite of what you want in a situation like this.
And as strong as this wind is blowing right now, that is foremost on Austin's mind too. 9-iron from 111. Little right of the hole, nice and low though.
Not quite as crisp with the iron shots in the last few holes as she has been all week, but her lead is 3 as we go to 17.
Bit of movement in this one from right to left. It's a tough hole location today. Players have struggled on that 17th green. We'll see how the players fare as these final few groups come through. Jenny Coleman at the 15th. Thought that was going to be a little quicker than it was, so she's got a bit of work to do there.
It was 2 years ago this month that the LPGA launched its Drive On campaign for girls of all ages.
2 days after I was born, I was left in a small wooden box near an orphanage. 9 months later, I was adopted by a golf-loving family half a world away. I've always been small. It's what drives me in life and in golf. At girls golf, I learned that even though I am only 4'9", if I worked hard, I could compete with anyone. I may be small, but I'm mighty. I'm Claire Hollingsworth, and I drive on.
Beautiful. 15 again.
Danielle Kang for birdie.
Winner of the first Drive On Championship. I love the Drive On campaign that the tour has created. We all have our own Drive On stories, things that inspire us, things that force us to persevere. And I mean, the tour is full of so many different inspirational women, leaders in our sport and around the world. I think it's a powerful message.
You're one of them. You've got a big event tomorrow. Tell us about it.
I do. I have our 14th annual Morgan and Friends fundraiser tomorrow at St. Andrews Country Club. So I'm going to be rushing home after this to get ready for tomorrow, and we're excited to hopefully cross almost the $10 million mark in money raised towards breast cancer initiatives in South Florida and the Boca Raton area.
Good on you.
Thank you.
Alban Valenzuela. Karen, this is a player who had played 11 major championships before she turned pro. Tell me what that means as she gets her LPGA career started.
Well, it just means that she's very experienced. She knows what to expect when she came out here. She knows that her game stands up against all the other players out here already. And really that takes a little bit of pressure off you. I mean, Morgan, you know, has very well spoken about how her struggles were last year as her first year on tour with the injuries.
She was born in New York City, raised in Switzerland. Her family now lives in the Bahamas. Her dad is Mexican, her mom is French. She went to Stanford, 4.03 grade point average, political science major. Brother Alexi, they call him, now plays at SMU.
Yeah, Alben was not officially one of my little sisters on tour, but I pretty much adopted her. She's my little sister now. She's one of my favorite people out here. Just the whole family, wonderful people.
Well, and I get the impression, Morgan, that she could be absolutely anything she wants to be. I mean, she has that. I mean, if she wants to be president, she could be president. You know.
Totally. I totally agree with you.
She could be president of the United States. She was born in New York.
There you go.
She's obviously very worldly, culturally, with her background, and just great education. I think she's got a great golf mind, too, which is important. Sometimes when that brain goes a little bit too fast on the golf course, that can be a bit of a struggle, but I think she's able to keep it simple while she's on the golf course.
And back to this course and this putt. This is slippery down the hill. She was playing for that backstop with her second shot, and it just stayed up there. And a little bit of a tester coming back for par.
She is tied for 5th with Danielle Kang.
Jenny Coleman to stay in 3rd on her own. 3rd place here, play $101,000. Last year on tour, she made $15,000.
Seen a couple of tentative strokes there coming down the stretch. I wonder if she's thinking a little bit about what everything means in her finish here today.
Okay, birdie putts for the two players battling it out here. Ernst, the leader, will go first.
She will be. And it's uphill, right to left. As previously mentioned, every right-handed golfer's favorite putt. And I mentioned earlier, she's been putting better, fewest amount of total putts anyway than anybody amongst the contenders. Right now, she needs to shake off those last two and put a good roll on this one. I have no doubt that that's not even on her mind right now, Morgan.
Yeah, I feel like she's, of all people, really, really good at putting that behind her. It's just kind of her whole persona. Very carefree, relaxed, easygoing. Nothing really bothers her too much. And I think that's going to be very important for her right here. And you also got to think, this putt goes in, it's close to the ball game. So, you know, still got some holes left to play, but this is a big putt, especially in match play. You want to be the first one in. Not that this is match play, but in a match play situation, you know, put your putt in first, and that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent.
That was dead center with a little more speed, too.
When she won the NCAA championship, Ernst, she shot a 77 in the penultimate round, came back, shot 66 in the last round, including an ace early in that final round to win by 3, able to bounce back. But a chance here for Cupcho to get within 2.
Well, and Grant, I do think that Morgan does have a very valid point. I mean, it does feel like match play out here between these two. And even though there was a large lead, Cupcho now has a really great opportunity to kind of just keep chipping away. And I know that when you do have a large lead, you almost are in your own little world anyway. You're not really paying too much attention. It's very easy just to keep plodding along and playing your game. But all of a sudden, you do realize that, wait a minute, there's somebody breathing down my neck.
Oh, wow. How about the putt at 12 for eagle, the one for par at 13, and that one for birdie at 14?
Those were all really big putts there. They narrowly missed, and she knew she really wanted to get that one.
Played in the final group just 5 months ago at the ShopRite in New Jersey. Mel Reed went on to win that one for her first victory. But great experience for Cupcho. And now Valenzuela for par.
I think this one is, you know, pretty straightforward. I mean, I think in any time, you know, when you're the last group out this late in the day, you cannot take any of these putts for granted. You have to really pay attention to them all. But having watched a putt roll past the hole, a player can actually walk up to it with a bit more confidence on the line and the read, because they would have watched every inch of that roll.
She was chuckling this morning. She said that yesterday she finally figured out her putting routine. It was that she was going to read the putts and told her dad to walk away and let her do it. And they have such a good relationship. And he was like, yep, I backed up. And she started making them all. And obviously had a beautiful round yesterday. That was a solid par there.
Chance at her career best finish. It's going to be, barring something really unforeseen down the stretch. Hasn't been better than, well, she was actually 21st at the Olympics, not an official event, but it's been her best showing. Now, just enough to get your attention here for Austin Ernst.
Yeah, but with a putting stroke built like hers, with absolutely no moving parts, there is no hand movement whatsoever. Once she gets locked in, if that putter is lined up at the right point, just right of the center of the hole, I don't see how you can miss, because nothing moves.
That's why I love that switch to left-hand low. I'm a little biased because I've putted left-hand low my whole career, but it eliminates the movement in the stroke.
No movement on the leaderboard, still Ernst by 3.
Back on the tee at the 15th here at the LPGA Drive On Championship, presented by Volvic. And Jennifer Kupcho is chasing Austin Ernst. The lead was 6 at one time on the front nine. It's now 3.
And at this whole time playing 177 today, tee moved back to its original yardage. And this is a 6-iron. Wind should be off the left, but this tee is sheltered by the row of trees. And this is going right.
Oh, and finds the penalty area. That is a disaster for Cupcho.
Yeah, she has to be thinking that that's the end of her chances right there. That was an unusually poor swing, as well as she's hit it all week. See her breathe out there like, what did I just do?
Especially as she's come so close to making those putts on the last 3 holes, which would have, if she'd made all 3, she'd be tied for the lead. Now Austin Ernst.
No signal on the club because your brother is busy watching the flag on the previous hole to see what the wind's doing, because you can't feel it on the tee. This is a nicely struck shot, drifting a little right of the hole.
Yeah, it's a good place to be. Sensible shot. And Austin Ernst can breathe a sigh of relief now as she walks down to the green. Potential 3rd win, not too far away. Let's go to the 18th.
And a 3rd shot on this par 5 for Cheyenne Knight. How?
Great shot, though.
Yeah, it was a great shot. Lydia can't believe it. At the 16th, now tied for 3rd place, Jenny Coleman.
This is such an important finish for her, to get her season started off to where she doesn't really have to pay much attention to the priority list for next year, work on keeping her card. She can, if she has a very strong finish, can help her reshuffle into events come the rest of the season.
What a shot into the 16th, a chance for Jenny to get back to 3rd place alone.
Back at the 15th, and Kupcho has taken a drop in the drop zone as her 3rd.
Yeah, from about 107. There is that big tier that she has to negotiate in this green.
Is it going to stay up on the top level? No, I think it's going to meander back to the bottom level. So this is getting worse here for Cupcho.
Lydia Ko almost won twice here at the Coates Golf Championship at Golden Ocala, 2015 and 16. Not in contention to win this week, but it's going to be another solid showing for Lydia, who is tied for 8th at the moment after tying for 2nd last week.
Yeah, another solid showing from Lydia. I think it's only a matter of time before we see her back in the winner's circle this season.
A couple of weeks off and then to a couple of places in a row where she has won. In fact, back-to-back in 2016, the Kia Classic and the ANA Inspiration. Rory McIlroy in the PGA Tour's best take on TPC Sawgrass. The Players, Thursday on Golf Channel at noon and Saturday at 1 p.m. on NBC. Jessica Korda for birdie at the 18th. We saw her a bit of a stinger after her approach at 14. Hopefully she's okay. That's a good way to finish. In the top 10, the victory at the Diamond Resorts Tournament of Champions. Her first in almost 3 years. Back in the winner's circle, then Nelly followed it up. Jenny Coleman at the 16th to get to 8 under. Back to the 15th.
Jennifer Kupcho working on a bogey putt.
She is, and it's been taking a little bit of time. I mean, obviously, it took her a while to get back to the green after hitting her shot from the drop area. And she's been around the hole, she's looked at it, and she obviously knows she's going to have a bit of a swing to the right. But at this point, you know, as a player in her position, knowing that she's already 3 shots back, now she's hit one in the penalty area and it's going to go more shots back, your kind of heart sinks, because you kind of know that your chance is gone, and you kind of have to keep your head up and try and finish strong for your own game, for your own score, and almost for your sanity, because it hurts when something like that happens.
Well, also, you know, there's world ranking points on the line here, which qualifies you for the Olympics. So, you know, there's a lot going on this year on the LPGA Tour. Obviously, the race to the CME Globe and the points, season-long points race and world ranking points. So, yes, the tournament may be getting a little more difficult to win with a double bogey there, but you certainly don't want to go and throw away a position and, you know, come the summertime, that costs you a place in the US Olympic team. So it all counts.
It's very hard to keep those thoughts in your head and a cool head on your shoulders in the heat at the moment.
Birdie putt here for Valenzuela.
That was a good effort.
Talked about the appendicitis. She was having some stomach issues, went into hospital to have a scan, and they said, no, I don't think there's any issue. And so she went home, and then she got a phone call, and they said, hold on a minute, hold on. We've seen something with your appendix. You better get it back in here as quick as you can. And they realized that her appendix needed treatment, and that she was very lucky, she said, that they caught it there. They were looking for something else and ended up having to have a procedure. Okay now. It was just a month after her brother had the same problem with his appendix, so neither of them have to worry anymore. Now Austin Ernst for birdie.
Just a little uphill, turning left, and you guys mentioned the Olympics. That is on her radar as well. It's an ambitious goal, but talking to her dad today, it's something that, you know, she feels she has a chance at, to the best of their guessing on the world rankings. Even though she's climbed some 40 spots in less than a year, she would need at least a win and probably then a major win as well. But she's looking like she's going to take care of the first part of that equation right here today.
I think that shows the confidence that she has in herself and in her game, that the Olympics is on her radar. She knows that she could make that team. Yes, she has to play great golf, but she's capable of it. She knows what she's got to do.
5-shot lead for Austin Ernst now as she heads to the 16th.
Austin Ernst had a 6-shot lead. It was cut to just a couple. Now she's back up by 5.
Downwind, a little from the left, but really straight downwind. Downhill hole as well. Camber's little right, striped, and another one right down the middle there.
She is absolutely loving that new driver that she put in play last week.
Getting a little roll here too.
After the double bogey at 15, Cupcho.
This downwind, downhill hole. Kind of got to think that she's got to put a little bit of heat in this drive.
The look of resignation.
Yeah, I'd have to say she's a little bit deflated, but, you know, she's played great all week. She's given herself opportunities. Yes, she hit a poor shot there and probably sees it slipping away, but I think looking at the Solheim Cup standings, they're both Austin and Jennifer know that that is a big goal of theirs. And I actually would not be surprised to see the two of them paired together. Pat Hurst is looking to probably use the pod system again, and the two of them have similar games, similar attitudes, similar demeanors. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd be in the same pod.
Austin is going to solidify her spot on the points list with the victory today, and Cupcho has a chance to get in a couple of ways, by points or by world rank. 17.
Second for Jenny Coleman. Flag today, front right. And that's going to creep up onto the upper level. That would be perfect for the whole location yesterday.
Of which we saw nobody get anywhere near.
Right. Now Danielle Kang.
Just being firm and downwind, this front hole location, you can see there on the screen, there's also a little bit of a false front running up to the green. Got to carry that and release this pretty firm downwind.
Triple tier putt into the wind, downhill.
5 wins for Danielle Kang, beginning with the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. Held off Brooke Henderson to win there at Olympia Fields. Her last victory was the Marathon LPGA Classic, came from way back late to beat Lydia Ko. When she won the Drive-On Championship at Inverness, she went wire to wire, shared the lead after a couple of those rounds. And Austin Ernst is trying to go wire to wire here this week with ties. That's the last time. Austin Ernst with brother Drew on the bag. They have become a terrific team.
I think we were painfully honest because we know that we'll get over it. When you grow up with a brother, you know, you can kind of say whatever you want to him, and he can say whatever he wants to me. And at the end of the day, we still love each other, and we'll get over it. I think if you have somebody else, you might be a little bit more guarded with him. But I know that he might get mad at me for a few minutes, and then he'll get over it, and I'll get over it.
He began caddying for her midway through her rookie season on the LPGA Tour back in 2013. And been with her for a couple of victories.
Oui, je vais bouger, bien sûr.
Here's the father-daughter team.
Un peu à gauche, elle met en
Oui, le plus que tu puisses à gauche.
Oui.
Ok. Laisse bien la tête en bas, Alban.
93 drapeaux, 84 début. Oui, 84 début.
Oui.
That's French.
I would love to say.
À gauche, t'as plein de place. C'est à droite que ça devient vite la merde.
Je joue le bord du bunker, papa.
Ok.
I would love to say that I knew what they were talking about, but I'm afraid I don't.
I heard cap in there. 4. Take a 4 here at 16.
Well, she has 84 yards. Maybe that was it. And I kind of like it. She's got enough room to use. Oh, that was...
It's a common miss here. Jennifer Chang tied for 8th. This is going to be easily her best career finish.
Like we talked about, these players get off to good starts of the season. It takes a lot of pressure off the way you play the rest of the year. Play a little more free.
Just 21 years old. She's going to be in the top 10, it would appear, as Cupcho is ready.
This from 59 yards. She is down grain, which will help from these fairways. You can see her trying to hit a big sort of, trying to get as much spin on that as she possibly could with that swing. But from that yardage with that front flag, very difficult to get that close.
Yeah, 59 yards. That must have rolled way down that fairway. And even Austin's even closer. Leaves a very awkward shot.
Only 53 yards for Austin as Karen mentioning a downwind shot. And from the left here, a hard green that slopes away. You just got to take your 20-footer past the hole right now. Or just spin the heck out of it. That was low. That was God, it reminded me of an Azinger shot right there.
Didn't have her A game yesterday, she said. Wouldn't have known if she would have had the patience to withstand it a few years ago. For Cupcho for birdie.
And this one's going to be quite slow. Back uphill, will move to the left. I mean, the general slope of the green will take it that way, but also the wind that's sort of whipping down this green as well ought to help it to the left as well. And she started that 3 feet out to the right.
It just absolutely broke across the hole there at the end as well.
17.
Jenny Coleman trying to deal with the ridge that she's going to go over right there. Downhill all the way to the hole. It's going to move right to left. I tell you what, it's in the middle. That's okay, that's in. Doesn't matter, it's up against the flag. So Jenny Coleman breaks out of a tie for 3rd. Third on her own. It's going to be her career best finish, regardless of what happens at 18, because she's never finished better than 26th before.
Well, and yesterday she hit the flag on her chip shot that almost went in the hole. That was a lucky shot there to stop and have an easy par, but what a fantastic birdie for her on 17 there.
Back at the 16th, a par putt for Alban Valenzuela.
And really, with this wind blowing down the hole and downhill, this is quite a tentative little putt here. And, you know, ideally you'd rather be putting back up the hill after a little chip.
You can also see all the shadows on the green. I've always felt that it's just much more challenging to read the greens when you're putting through shadows like that, especially ones that are moving as the wind's blowing the trees around.
I agree with that. I think it's just the visual, like you don't quite see the line as clearly through it.
Alban will drop back into a tie for 5th, 17.
Another downhill putt here. This for Danielle Kang for birdie. And downhill from about there. Good try. Go back over to 60.
Mentioned Austin Ernst and what she said after her round yesterday when she didn't feel like she had her best stuff. She said she stayed patient and she doesn't know if she would have stayed as patient a few years ago. So you've got Cupcho trying to win, Morgan, but you've got thresholds for really everyone out here in some ways, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we talked about it earlier in the week with Nelly winning last week, saying she didn't have her best stuff. That's just as important. Nobody cares what it looks like, but it's getting it done when the pressure is on. And Austin showed a lot of perseverance today. She would have liked to get that one to drop, but now it's just about making pars and not giving yourself too much trouble.
It was a one-shot lead when the round began. Swelled to 6, dropped, and now back to 5.
Final group has reached the tee at 17th. This par 4, dogleg from left to right. A lovely looking tee shot. Everything laid out in front of you.
Austin had got to the tee, grabbed the driver and teed up the ball before the other players and caddies even got up here. That's a sign of well, confidence and focus.
But I would also say, Jerry, that I believe the group ahead has already finished this hole, which would mean they're technically out of position.
Yeah, I think they were told a few holes ago that the group ahead was put on the clock, so they give them plenty of grace time to close that gap because they're obviously in front and they start playing much quicker. Another beauty.
Although Austin Ernst could afford a slow play penalty and still be comfortable at the top. It's a nice position to be in.
I don't think she wants to have to worry about that, though.
No. Alban?
And you're right, Tom. This is a really, really good-looking hole from this tee box. Kind of almost feels like you kind of got a little alleyway that you have to hit down. But when you say alleyway, you think of narrow areas, and it does look a bit narrow too, with the trouble down the right. And if you go left, it's trouble as well.
It's really
no
nice.
trouble there.
Yeah. It's really important, I think, to hit a great tee shot on this hole, just because the green is so challenging as well. You want to give yourself the best opportunity into the green.
Now Cupcho.
Fully capable of hitting a nice little fade as well. Like she's pretty good at moving her tee ball. She can hit the draw when she wants and the fade when she wants. This one's starting down the right, drawing nice high. This should be huge.
Yeah, it's going to go all the way to the end of that bunker, which is leaves a very short shot in.
That lengthy putt for birdie at the 17th moves Coleman into solo third. She tees it up at the par 5 18th. And
she's got her sister Kristen looking on out there watching her, and as we mentioned yesterday, they actually coach each other.
Yeah.
which I think is so neat. She said that they know each other's games so well that they can tell when the smallest thing is off because they practice together all the time.
Kristen's going to tee it up in the Symetra Tour season opener in just a couple of weeks in Arizona. Twin sister having the week of her life on the LPGA Tour, and Austin Ernst leading it by 5.
Straight down from here?
Should be about straight downwind on the second shot at 17 as Austin asks her caddy and brother Drew.
Should be, but it feels much lighter than it has previous holes, but you're pretty well protected in this one. 147 yards is the number to the hole. 135 front from a side hill lie with a 9-iron.
I would say she doesn't want to get this one too far past the hole, but we just watched Jenny make a bomb. But that's a perfect leave right there.
I think she was worried it was going to pitch short and come back because there is a rise up at the front of that green, but it just pitched far enough up, and she's got a good look at birdie. So now Alban Valenzuela.
This from 134, Tom, and yes, it is downwind, but there is a slight little backstop there that you can use, but you still have that feeling in your stomach that you have to be so precise with where you land this. And of course that means the strike has to be precise too.
Tied for 5th. So birdie here, break out of that tie. And that may take the backstop and come back. No, it's just too much. That wasn't far away from getting a little bit of help from that backstop, but now it's going to be a quick putt. Jenny Coleman handled it pretty well. Now, Cupcho.
This from just 108, and I'm not sure that I thought I would be saying like 108 is a number into this green. Has a tremendous line to fairway too. Nice down grain.
Wonderful shot. Now that might come back a little bit. Is it going to climb all the way up to the top? No. Might go off the green. It's tricky, isn't it, this hole?
Wow, that was unlucky. That was a great shot right there that she hit. But Karen, I mean, 108 yards into that hole. I agree. I didn't think I was going to hear that one. Maybe a little anger, maybe a little frustration behind that tee ball.
Inji Chun at the 18th.
She's just solid. She's solid all around. I love playing with her. She's always smiling. She's got great tempo. I feel like when I play with her and her tremendous tempo, both on her putting stroke and on her full swing, it just kind of rubs off. You know, it puts you in a good feeling of tempo for your own golf swing.
Well, don't miss your chance at a $50,000 jackpot this week on the NBC Sports Predictor app, powered by PointsBet Golf Pick'em. Check it out. Austin Ernst grew up in South Carolina, says that this course at Golden Ocala has some echoes of the courses where she grew up.
I have good memories from when we played before, and it just seems to set up well for me. Whether it's, you know, a lot of the tee shots kind of can naturally pick out a good line, and kind of going into the greens, I kind of have a good idea of kind of how they break, even though they redid them, and kind of where I can be aggressive and where I can kind of take a good putt from. You know, I kind of grew up on hills and kind of chipping off Bermuda grass and that kind of thing. I think I can read the lies pretty well. So when I do miss greens, I feel like I kind of have an advantage of kind of knowing what it's going to do, or at least having a good guess of what it's going to do.
This is the 17th.
Kupcho. There's her third shot there, so she'll have that for a par. Be careful. I mean, Jenny Coleman could sneak into a tie for second here.
Well, let's see what Jenny does here at the 18th. Having a go. Back hole location.
That doesn't look like the end of the world there. Hit a relatively flat lie in the bunker, hitting back into the wind. I think she could have a good opportunity here, depending on what Jennifer does coming down the last 2 holes here to sneak into that tie for second.
Leader at the 17th.
Just watching on as Alban Valenzuela has her putt here, which is going to be quick and should be pretty big time right to left.
Yes, I mean, you have a nice advantage, Tom. You've seen this putt a couple of times.
We have seen it, yeah.
But it's when you're standing there, and then Morgan and I have talked about this on when we've watched the players putting on 15, is when you're on one of these tiers, you just kind of pick a spot right at the very top of that tier. And that's really where your focus is. You kind of almost have to block the hole out from your mind and altogether and just putt it to that one little spot, because 1, that helps you judge the speed, and 2, it should give you the right line as well.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Karen. It's all about the speed. The speed determines your line, not the other way around.
Good try. Alban will hopefully knock that in and then look for a birdie on that closing hole. Currently tied with Danielle Kang and Leona Maguire, who is going to record just the 2nd top 10 of her career as we look at Austin Ernst.
With another little slide uphill left to right putt, and if she makes it, there'll be some loud cheers from a number of her fans. She spends a lot of time in Richmond now, where her fiance lives. They've welcomed her with open arms at Hermitage, at the Foundry, and also Vinnie Giles' Kinloch. But her most loyal fans are back home at Cross Creek, gathered around the TV. I think Dad's back home watching with Melanie right now, his wife, but they're still gathered around the TV rooting for her strong. So very proud of her. And I think the amount of fans she has, Morgan, is just a testament to the quality of the character of the human being.
Absolutely, and I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of the people in that photo. I've played in Austin's charity event many times, benefiting Safe Harbor, South Carolina, which provides services for victims of domestic violence and their children in upstate South Carolina. They had to take a break this past year because of COVID, but now the event raises more than $100,000 a year to benefit Safe Harbor.
Yeah, a lot of work being done behind the scenes and out of the spotlight from many LPGA players raising money for great causes, including by you, Morgan. Of course, you mentioned your event tomorrow down there in Boca.
I think it just shows the character of all the players out on this tour. So kind, giving of their time, philanthropic, supporting each other in all of our own passions. It's definitely a unique family out here on the LPGA Tour.
Should be an easy 4 there for Austin. I wonder if Mark's going to open up the bar tonight at Cross Creek in celebration.
I think Morgan has his member number there. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
The members might have just put up a cheer when I said that.
Do you think they have it open already?
Well, they might have, you know, it might be on Dad. Yeah. Or Austin's member number. No, Cupcho for par.
She knows how close that approach shot was to being really very good. I mean, she says she hit it pure, and just unfortunate enough just to be just about a foot too much to the right and fall off the green. But this will be a nice little save for her, knowing that the par 5 18th coming up, and players still have a lot of pride in what they're doing out here.
Oh, no, it's not in yet. This is costly. We talked about world ranking points and CME points, and this could cost her a solo second. May even cost her a runner-up finish, depending on what Jenny Coleman does.
It's interesting. It's something that we talk about here in the booth, but I don't think that's what she's thinking about right now on the golf course. Yes, she wants to have a strong finish for herself, but she knows that she's lost the tournament, and Rolex rankings, Solheim Cup, all of those things are not in her head right now, I wouldn't imagine.
Now Alban.
Yep, this will be a nice little 2-putt here for Alban, and I agree with you, Morgan. I don't think any player is thinking about all those extra stuff. Is it till the end of the year when you're totaling it all up that you think, oops, what if I just finished a little stronger there? But at the time, you're not in that moment.
I've totally felt that way, where you've just been mentally or emotionally crushed coming down the stretch, and then you look back and think, oh, I was so close. What about that tournament or that tournament? And I mean, every shot out here really makes a difference, even though you're not thinking about it potentially in that moment.
This to fall to 9 under. It's a bogey. So it's been a struggle coming home for Cupcho. With the bogey at 13, the double bogey at 15, and then the bogey at 17. And she got so close to maybe putting some serious pressure on Ernst. And a putt to be 2 back on that 13th green, which she missed. And now Austin to finish off the par here at the 17th.
Just a little inside 2 feet.
Can enjoy the walk down the 72nd hole, and she is smiling already. Austin Ernst leads by 6 here.
Good one.
Down the right for Austin. Plenty safe right there.
I think she's going to enjoy this walk down the 18th fairway. You could already see her smiling, walking off 17 with her brother.
One last chance to make up a bit of ground again here, just for her own score, and to feel good walking off this course tonight.
Incredible to think that when she made eagle here late yesterday, she was within 1. It'll be a very different feeling here in the next few moments. Danielle Kang up ahead of the 18th. Danielle Kang in the 3 drive-on championships, a win, a second, and at the moment a tie for 5th. Austin Ernst just turned 29 a few weeks ago. And the 28-year-old Jenny Coleman, a putt for birdie. This year, for the first time, the LPGA Tour has gone to a points system. The Race to the CME Globe points system will determine priority list. And so, as opposed to the money list, where if you share a place on the leaderboard, you split that money, that is not the case anymore. You finish 3rd, you get 3rd place points. And that could come in handy for Jenny, who at the moment has that putt to stay alone in 3rd place. That could be huge come year's end. A player like Coleman trying to keep her card. This is going to be the first full season for Jenny Coleman after playing partially on the Symetra Tour and LPGA back in 2017. Of course, last year was shortened. And another solid week for Patty Tavatanakit, although today has been a struggle. She finished in the top 10 last week, playing in the final group on Sunday, the Gainbridge.
I would definitely keep my eye on Patty this year. She started working with a new coach last June, PGA Tour winner Grant Waite, and she said it is crazy how much easier her swing feels to her right now after all the work that they've put in. And she hits it a mile. She's working on shaping shots and becoming an all-around solid player. So I expect big things to come from her this year.
And Grant has caddied for her these couple of weeks in Florida. She may want to keep him.
I would.
There's Grant Waite. That moves her up 4 spots on the leaderboard. That birdie. He won the Kemper Open back in 1993. Beat Tom Kite. TPC Avenue.
I think that's good for Patty too. I mean, he knows what she needs to do in her game to make it to the next level, to win on tour. He's going to help her get there.
Danielle Kang, even par 72. Thrilled last week to get to play with Annika Sorenstam in a practice round. Missed her first cut in a year and a half. Practiced at the Four Seasons Golf and Sports Club Orlando. And a tie for 5th. Now Coleman, she has stood tall all weekend.
So impressed with her, the way she played this week. The way she handled adversity, she stayed steady. I don't know. Very impressive for an inexperienced player.
Who knows where this could lead for Jenny Coleman. Solo 3rd. Valenzuela.
Yeah, just going to put this down into a good position in the fairway. Just a little bit uncomfortable yardage for her at 232 to the hole and 207 to carry the green.
It will be no worse than a solo 3rd for Coleman. No one else can catch her from behind. Cupcho is in 2nd place by 1. Now Ernst, the leader.
She could get there, but just laying up. And I did just get a text from her dad, Mark and Melanie. Her parents are headed back to the club. The bar is now open, and we're costing them a lot of wedding funds. That was no more than a 9-iron right there.
Yeah, Austin getting married in October. Jessica Korda is actually her maid of honor. They're best friends.
We'll see if Jessica's waiting for her at a socially responsible distance, of course, on the 18th. A chance for Jennifer Kupcho. One last chance here to maybe put a good swing on it.
Well, she did it yesterday and made an eagle here. This one 209, and from sort of this middle left half of this fairway, you can actually see a little more of the green. So it's a little bit more comfortable than down the right side. This going a little bit right of the flag.
She didn't have to stress as much on that one as she did yesterday, barely carrying the penalty area.
Austin Ernst walking towards her 3rd LPGA Tour title. Third shot for our leader, Austin Ernst, at 18.
Just a little gap wedge. Modified lengthy pitch shot here from a downhill lie. Lots of green to work with.
So we have a little bit of a correction on the Jessica Korda waiting at this green. Jess texted me. She goes, I'll be waiting at home for her with some Coors. So I think they're going to have a pretty big celebration tomorrow, it sounds like.
And Jerry, you were hearing from Austin's dad. Corey Connors lives near Austin Ernst. He's contending at Bay Hill.
Across the street of each other. It's going to be a pretty good time on that street if they both win.
What a moment this is for Austin Ernst. Waited 6 years, 143 starts between victories 1 and 2, and all of the hard work has paid off. She's going to win in just her 12th start since that victory, the Walmart Northwest Arkansas Championship. And take a look there. For the first time since 2007, Americans are going to win the first 3 events of an LPGA Tour season. You got in on the act just very early in 07 as well, winning the A&A.
A little bit after the 3rd event, but definitely off to a hot start that year and again this year. And it's something that Captain Pat Hurst, the Solheim Cup team this year, Team USA, is like, this has been so much fun to watch. And I actually think that the positive play by so many Americans this year is inspiring the rest of the Americans. Like, hey, I got to up my game. I got to win, even just to get Pat's attention.
Karen, Jennifer Cupcho figures to be in the mix at the Solheim Cup. This is going to be with Austin Ernst now 12 of the 17 winners since the LPGA's restart in August are Solheim Cup contenders, possible participants in the Solheim Cup, either the European team or the Americans.
And I think it was really neat playing the first drive-on championship at Inverness. I am sure both Americans and Europeans, potentials on both teams, stood on that first tee and thought about what would it be like. I want to be standing here wearing red, white, and blue, or blue and yellow, and playing for my country.
Austin did it back in 2017, part of a victorious American team. Cupcho, a match play stalwart.
I have a feeling, though, it will be a very different atmosphere at the Solheim Cup than it was for the Drive-On Championship. There was obviously no spectators watching, and I'm sure that they're hoping to get people out there to watch the Solheim Cup. There is only one other atmosphere like it, and that would be the Ryder Cup. When it comes to team golf and that first tee, and I mean, Morgan is a special feeling, and I know that Cupcho wants on that team quite badly.
And totally, I really couldn't imagine a Solheim Cup without that first tee experience. So definitely hoping that we're allowed to have some fans at least with their songs and chants and cheers.
Well, if you just scan the internet and you look and you see Kupcho well back of Austin Ernst, you will not know how close this was. One shot lead entering the day. It swelled to 6. And then for that brief moment after Ernst had bogeyed 13, Kupcho had a putt for par. It was 2. She missed it, and then she hit it in the water at the 15th to end her chances. Don't forget, she had a putt for eagle that just crept across the hole over the top of the hole at the 12th, and then a putt for birdie at 14 that looked all the world like it was going in as well. It's a putt for birdie for Valenzuela to get solo 5th.
Well, and after such an up and down sort of restart season last year with the injuries, the appendicitis, and then catching COVID, this is a really nice start for her. It eases the pressure a little bit going through the rest of the season, and should free her up to be able to play her game. And I'm sure Morgan will be watching very closely this player at the top of the leaderboards very soon.
I think she feels really good about her game now too. She's made a few changes. Actually looked back at her swing from when she was an amateur. Got a little bit away from that, and now is trying to get a little bit more width, and it's working very well so far this year.
Jerry, she never wavered. It wasn't always easy today.
No, it's been impressive. It's been impressive to watch her grow throughout her career out here. And Morgan hit the nail on the head earlier when she talked about just the way she carries herself now. It's one thing to hope to be in this position, to try and be in this position more often, set it as a goal to be more consistent and in contention, but to believe you're supposed to be there and expect to be there. That's the part you can't teach, and that's the part she has learned through a lot of hard work.
Totally, and I love her attitude of not trying to play perfect golf, because nobody does play perfect golf, and you don't have to play perfect golf to win, and she proved that today.
The last time there was a 6-shot winner on the LPGA Tour, it was Nasa Hataoka. The runner-up was Austin Ernst. Today she's the champion by 6. I'll make it 5 now after the Cupcho birdie. Austin Ernst, a decisive victory at the Drive-On Championship.
What a great performance from her all week. I mean, she was in the lead after round 1, tied for the lead, and